Good day, everyone, and welcome back to another video. It is the Empowered Educator, and I'm back with another powerful message. I pray that this video gives you all some insight and confirmation about adopting EL education into your classroom spaces. In the meantime, I request that you all please give this video a thumbs up so we can get this out to the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe to the channel for more things all teacher and education related, all right? With that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the purpose of Empowered Educator LLC. So this business specializes in teacher mentorship, coaching, and classroom management training. I am the owner and author of children's coloring books, which you all can check out through my website, which is linked down below in the description box. I will also give you all some information about the newest program that has started in my business if you all stay tuned until the end of this very important message, okay? So, again, I welcome everyone to the channel, and I am grateful for the ideas and support we can share amongst each other. Feel free to share a comment down below if you can make connections to the word delivered in this video, okay? So, the topic of this message is to share my personal worries and wonders about EL education curriculum from my perspective as a second grade classroom teacher. First and foremost, this is my first year teaching EL with my class, and as any person introducing something new, whether that be a plan or program in your life, sometimes there are concerns. Sometimes those programs can raise questions. It causes you to be inquisitive and possibly worried about the impact that it's going to have on learners as well as educators in your learning space. And I must admit, before I started utilizing this curriculum, I was worried that my gift for lesson planning would be altered because I'm so used to designing my own work and coming up with my own ideas. I feared that my authenticity towards teaching would be lost because mentally I'm reprogramming the way I've learned to teach and plan by means of adopting scripted learning. And I feel as a whole that the field of education is moving more towards scripted teaching. And it's uncomfortable for people who are used to having a natural flow, people who are used to enriching the lives of others through what we know is best. But starting the year off, I was highly concerned about molding myself into something I didn't create. I even found myself asking leadership what their personal thoughts were about scripted teaching. And, many of them would say, it's best to find a way to make this type of teaching your own, because at the end of the day, it's what we have to sell to our kids. So that was my first mission when it came to implementing EL, which was making this curriculum something that's not original, my own. And I want to encourage anybody else, any other educator out there who feels this type of uncertainty that, if there is a will, there is a way. There are always ways you can prosper in the midst of uncertainty. And first and foremost, you must be grounded with the spirit of faith. Know that whatever is bringing up that feeling of doubt, that it can be overcame. And I pray against any force or any demonic stronghold that may be causing rebellion or dismissal of implementing something new in your personal learning space. One of the very first lessons in the first unit of Module 1 was reading an informational piece about what school means to students and teachers across the country. And what I liked most about the text was the fact that, this wasn't a written book. It was a written perspective, or it's written perspectives of children and teachers that our class could personally relate to. This created more buy-in for me as the vessel who would be delivering the instruction. Furthermore, students cannot relate to ideas that they personally cannot take ownership of. And this text allowed our students to see themselves through the lens of other children across the country. So, what I decided to do as an instructional routine was to do a four corners exercise with my students. And you all know that four corners is one of my favorite instructional routines to create engagement and collaborative learning opportunities with kids. So, what I did was in each corner, there was a perspective of a student or a teacher and how they felt about school and overall, what it really meant to them. And before we did the four corners routine, I even asked some volunteers, some strong readers to come up in front of the class and pretend to be the students from other parts of the United States. I gave each kid their own new name, introduced them to the class, where they were from, and the kids really dove into the characters that we created. You all, my students really loved, these exercises. They loved the fact that they could pretend to be somebody else and show off their reading skills in front of their peers. They also loved the fact that they could kinesthetically learn in the classroom through their peers. This wasn't, a standard read aloud that I've done with my class. Instead, I found a way to use my students as the vessels of taking ownership and accountability for their learning. Now, some people are going to go against that idea because it's not traditional and it's not protocol of the curriculum or the lesson. But the field of education, it's not traditional. It's always changing. It's always evolving. It's always expanding. And doing things non-traditionally will actually incite interest to your kids. See, me personally as an educator, I'm just a nonconformist. That's the way God created me to be. So I'm always doing things in a way that people have not seen before, but they work. These means are fun. The way that we learn is engaging. And besides four corners, I have also taught, discussion methods such as fishbowl and turn and talk as means of engaging our learners. And for those of you who do not know, I do work in a public trauma informed elementary school. And we've served students here who have experienced some serious social, emotional, and economical disadvantage. So, socializing is the number one priority that we practice in these settings to ensure our children are successful in collaborative learning. And our students struggle. They struggle to communicate and work well with others due to their own life changing experiences that intercede on their personal growth and development. EL heavily offers many opportunities, sometimes more than I would recommend for collaborative learning. Being a productive collaborator is a backpack of success skill here in Kentucky, but we have to provide our children the time to feel comfortable adopting these types of norms into their lifestyle because they're abnormal for children in trauma. Many children in trauma have learned not to trust or believe information from others. It's like their defense mechanism, if you will. Many also have undiagnosed special needs, and it's hard to accommodate with so many diverse learners with their own personal needs, especially when you're dealing with children in trauma, when you're educating children in trauma. Many adults have not healed from their own childhood trauma. So imagine what a baby experiences, what they go through, being accepting this new way of learning and collaborating with others as a means to enrich their educational skill set. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of information about, what my worries and wonders are. This is a picture of a four corners instructional routine that we had used, the one that I had just mentioned to you all. And as you can see, kids are in the window, they're reading what the prompt was and a section from that informational perspective that we had read from. We talk all the time about a calm and controlled body so that we can make sure that we are listening with our heart and we are speaking from our heart inside of our learning space. And like I said before, you all, I was questionable, about adopting this curriculum inside of my classroom. I'm so used to designing my own lessons, and just going based off of what my gifts are, what my talents are. But EL has created some structure there. So here's more of a formal way of, expressing what my worries were. And my worries included, adapting to the needs of children in trauma, the over recommended ideas for student to student collaboration. If you look at some of the lesson plans, I know you've already seen some of the lesson plans, there are quite a few collaborative moments throughout a lesson. There's going to be opportunities for a cold call. There's going to be opportunities for think, pair, share, turn and talk, role playing, protocol. And you don't need to use every single discussion technique or OTR, a response to learning in order to show what students are doing in the classroom or to demonstrate learning in a particular part of the lesson. When you're doing these types of lessons, especially with children in trauma, they need a lot of time for processing. They need a lot of time for engagement. They really need a lot of time for, the formative assessment piece that might come at the end of the lesson. But that also goes to time and pacing. They say that some of these lessons are 60 minutes. And for children in trauma, it's much longer than that. You really got to give kids time to write. There's a lot of writing. Writing is heavily emphasized in the second grade. In the second grade lessons. Now, I'm not sure about any of the other lessons and what those formative assessments might look like, but I know for second grade that expectations are certainly high when it comes to writing. And then I also have worries about text selection and diversity. I will say the first two books that we've looked at so far have really been purposeful. We read the story called The Dot, and we also read a story called The Invisible Boy. Very powerful text selections, and I'm so glad that EL also gives opportunities to revisit the text and really do close reading. Learning opportunities with our kids to really pay attention to the details in the pictures and in the words, and helping kids really use text evidence to support their reasoning. And then some wonders that I had, or I still have, are how can I own, what isn't mine? How can I own lessons that are not mine? And again, it goes back to just picking and pulling what are instructional routines that are purposeful here and what needs to be taught. What am I going to use to make sure that I keep my students purposefully engaged? Because after a while, some things, when you're doing think, pair, share 10 times in a lesson, it gets tedious and you lose your kids. Excuse me. You want to make sure that everything that you're pulling out to teach with your students is purposeful, it's meaningful, and it's going to have an impact on whatever the standard is that you're reaching. And then finally, how will I differentiate assessments to reach all students' diverse abilities? Again, writing is heavily emphasized in the second grade content, and writing is an obstacle that many kids have. I'm going to do another video soon where I actually talk about writing in public education. Where has the passion for writing gone, and how do we revitalize this area to make it a strength in the lives of people? This is a life skill that people need to have, but how do we make it to where it's something fun to engage with again and purposeful inside of our classroom? And how do we adapt some of the assessments that EL offers to make it more diverse for the different students that we are educating in our classroom? Are there opportunities for students to have multiple choice test items? Are there opportunities for students to record themselves speaking on a topic or a question or an extended response opportunity? Are there digital options available? Just to name a few. But you all, that is my video. I thank you all so much for tuning in. Can you please drop down in the comments below any personal, worries and wonders of your own, any revelation that you have had since utilizing this curriculum inside of your learning space. What are things that you enjoy? What are some areas for growth or improvement? And if you are actually interested in doing a personal session with me, I highly encourage you all to book a consultation or a coaching session with me. And we can talk more about, what this would look like inside of your learning space at your grade level to reach the children that you are educating. You all, I am the Empowered Educator. I thank you all so much for tuning in. Give this video a thumbs up so we can continue to get videos and messages like this out into the YouTube algorithm. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. You all take care and stay blessed. Peace. Hey, you all, thank you so much for tuning into the video today. I greatly appreciate your support, your blessings, and everything that you do here on this channel. You all, in the description box below, I have linked empowerededucator.us. You all check out the programs and the resources tab of my business page, okay? Now, there's all types of things you can find on the website, but I am advertising right now programs and products that you can use to make an impact and a difference inside of your learning space. If you've always wondered, how do I have purposeful breaks inside of my classroom? What are tools that students can use to regulate, their normal feelings that kids are experiencing inside of the classroom? Say no more, ask no more. You all, I am the developer of student self-care kits, and I want you all to check out this part of the website so you all can learn more about how self-care kits can make an impact inside of your learning space. Here is a sample one that I have here, and you all can check out more on the website, okay? Monique Morris said, it's time for our classrooms to become places for healing so that they can become places for learning. And I couldn't agree with that quote or that phrase any more than what she's laid out on the table. You all, we have got to create safe spaces for our children to be who they are and what God is calling them to be. And if you are looking for a toolkit to help your students understand and regulate or take a break inside of the classroom because of their feelings, you all need to check out student self-care kits created by the Empowered Educator herself. And you all, please leave me a means of contact inside the content section below, okay? There's also a gallery that you all can check out so you can see more students actually utilizing these types of tools inside of the classroom, all right? And some student testimonies, all right? You all, I am the Empowered Educator. I can't wait to see you all in the next video. You all take care. Peace.